going to talk about transforming people, transforming churches, and transforming then communities. I'm going to talk a lot about the active acquisition and what it means to you. I also want to say hi to these people who are watching us over the internet. Our special guests in Cordova, Tennessee, Florence, South Carolina, and Colorado Springs, Colorado. If you're one of our competitors and you're not watching us, you probably should be. But competition is good. We love this industry. It's very friendly competition. We actually go out to dinner sometimes at these conferences that we all exhibit at. But competition makes us better. So iron against iron. So again, thank you for watching us on the internet. So what a difference a year makes, doesn't it? If you look at everything that's going on, are you seeing everything? I mean, the floods in Mississippi, I watched that with amazement yesterday. The things that are going on in the Middle East, with all the democracy breaking out, the tsunami that's coming from the earthquake. If you just look on a global scale, I look back on this past year as I was pulling this thing together, and I'm just amazed at the changes. There's also some personal and professional changes, of course. By the way, that's a new picture of my children. We have a personal addition in our family, Kevin. And so that's a big change in my household. Has anybody ever taken on a 13-year-old boy just out of the blue? It's a lot of fun, especially when you have a 12-year-old boy who always thought he was the oldest one in the family. I was able to capture this, though, at my church by one of our sponsors, Life Touch. If you'll see that, they allowed me to capture this for posterity's sake, right? So here's that shameless plug for my buddies who've been sponsoring us all these years for Life Touch, and the branch of my church was allowed us to take this picture and capture it. But there have been some professional changes as well. Normally at this time, I would get into the numbers, right? How many people have been to multiple Dynamic Church conferences, right? I'd go, okay, let's run the numbers, and I'd go through a lot of information that's probably irrelevant to you. It's like how many page loads, how many check-ins, how many checks do we scan. Let's just say it's a lot. But I do want to share a couple numbers with you that are important. One, we continue to grow. I had JP run the numbers. Through April of this year compared to April of last year, our new license sales have grown by 59%. That's a pretty good achievement, I think. We're hoping to reach 700 new churches this year. Also, what's very important is the render time. For the portal, it's still under a quarter of a second to hit our servers and get back out. If you're in fellowship, that's actually on average about a tenth of a second. So those are very relevant numbers. Those page loads, number of check-ins probably aren't so much. But I think what's important as well is the rate of growth. I'm not foreseeing the future here. I can't tweet something in the future, but you're going to see a tweet from me here in the next couple months, and we will go over the 2,000 church mark. So we're really excited about that. When I started Fellowship Technologies, I said, guys, my goal is to be here until 10,000 churches. Now, there are over 300,000 churches in the country, 2.3 million, I think, in the world. But at this pace, we're going to have to pick it up, because at this pace, I'll be 82. And I didn't want to work that long, so we're going to pick that up. But as we all have seen in this past year, change is truly inevitable. Historically, we've seen a lot of our competitors take on and either buy or swallow up some of the smaller competitors. ACS Technologies is really known for that. If you look at them, they probably have acquired 5 or 6 companies. Shelby, a couple. Well, it was sort of reversed in this way. Somebody came in and acquired us. That would be Active Network. I believe there will continue to be industry consolidation. However, going forward, it won't just be Shelby and ACS doing that acquiring. It'll also be us. We'll now throw ourselves into the mix. And that's an exciting time for us. But you can't have progress without change. So I always look at change as a good thing. Product continues to improve. I'm not going to steal Kingsley's thunder. If you're going to be around Friday, I definitely encourage you to see his keynote. He's the product guy now. I'm the vision guy. So I look out 5 years. He looks out a few months and then a couple of years. But I'm the vision guy. He's the product guy. But we continue to roll out Groups 2.0. That's very exciting within Fellowship. We've got the first leg of the integration with the table project done. We're working into the stories is how we work within our methodology, and we've mapped out the second leg of that integration we're really excited about. We've completed the pilot on RDC, remote deposit capture, and we're going to roll that out in a control release starting June 1st, I believe, and as attendees of Dynamic Church 11, you guys will be the first to be able to sign up, okay? We can only handle rolling it out so fast because of the size of our organization, but there'll be a form that you guys can sign, and then shortly after that will be custom reporting. Again, we piloted it, we've worked with some of our customers to take the kinks out, and as attendees of DC 11, you'll be able to be the first to sign up for that, and we'll roll that out right after RDC. Of course, as the product continues to evolve, it never evolves fast enough, but that's why we continue to add resources. That was part of the whole Active acquisition, was our ability to add some resources, even some offshore resources that Active has. We'll be working to do that so that we can speed up some of that delivery of product. But again, Kingsley will get into that, and that's his space. Process also continues to improve. The implementation guys are working really well, and we have this limited scope implementation so that we can start with new customers and get them live faster. Education, I think, is humming on all cylinders. If you haven't been to certification training, I would encourage you to go. If you're an F1 champion, I'm getting great responses from the people who go through that. And you'll also be the judge. Education is the primary people who put this on. So you'll be able to judge and give me some feedback on that as this conference goes on. We have started a modest consulting practice with Brian Vincent, helping our churches with their processes. We truly believe in a process-driven church, a metrics-driven church, so that you actually get feedback on how you're doing well, and processes of course scale. Our consulting group can do that. We have done some improvements in support. I understand that we do have to make additional improvements, and we're working on that. And reporting, we just cannot keep up, frankly, with all the report requests. And that's not a people problem. We throw more people at it. It's really, I think, an approach problem, and we'll be handling that, I think, with the custom reporting as well. When I started Fellowship Technologies back in 2003, a little bit of the story is that Terry Storch and Lawrence Weisskott approached me. They were on staff at Fellowship Church and said, hey, we've got this software we'd like to bring out to market. Would you be interested? And I absolutely shut them down at lunch and said, no, I do not want to sell software in churches. I grew up a pastor's son. Everybody, some of you guys know I've been running away from the pulpit most of my life. But God changed that afternoon. He laid it on my heart, actually laid it on my brain, and opened up just in a conversation some things that I thought this software needed to be. And the story goes on. That was that afternoon after that lunch, and I go to Terry Storch's office, and I whiteboarded everything that God downloaded to me. And he says, that's great. That's big. Fellowship One does about that much of it. So we've never had a problem with the God-sized vision. With the Active acquisition, that's not changed at all. We still have this big vision. However, when God lays out visions to you and puts it before you a mission, that doesn't mean your original method is always going to work. And so as I was talking to the Active executives, it was laid on me, you've got to change your methods if you're going to reach this vision. Now, it could have been a multi-generational vision, I guess, but I really wasn't excited about, passing it off. So I believe that God had given me that mission, so I needed to bring it out. So we still have the same God-sized vision. We've just changed horses, if you will, and we're taking a different method. So who are these guys? Who's the Active Network? Well, they've got a lot of stuff. From sports and endurance, communities, churches part of the community's business, outdoors, business events. They have a lot of applications that they serve, a lot of those through the internet. And if there's a solution that's not on the internet now, they're working feverishly to put it on the internet. Sometimes during this whole process, it reminded me of the movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. You remember that movie? And Butch Cassidy and Sundance were always running from these guys, and they kept saying, "Who are those guys? Who are those guys?" They saw that white hat. Active Network had been calling me since September of '07, and it was always, "Who are those guys?" And they were very persistent. Now, we hadn't done anything illegal like Sundance and Butch had, but we kept looking in our rearview mirror as we were moving forward. Who are those guys? Why are they after us? So there was a lot of conversation around, why do you want to get in the church space? And my boss said, frankly, it's something that we believe communities is part of our mission. And we can't get to the communities the way we want to help communities get better without the cornerstone of the community. And that cornerstone of the community is the church. So how can you really serve the public without serving the church? And that made a lot of sense to me. They also talked about their mission. Their mission is to power the world's activities and connect people to the things they love, want, and need to do. I go, well, hey, I like to get people up off the couch, including myself, to go run a race occasionally. I like to get my kids and watch them play baseball. Those are all noble things to do. As we started talking, we started talking about, and these words actually came from the president, Matt Landa. Yeah, it's helping people be active in body, mind, and soul. And I go, wow, that does make a lot of sense, because we're all whole people. We don't have our church life and then have the rest of our life. We're one person. And as a community, I want to encourage you that we need to become one community. Not just our church, but to be that light, the city on the hill that everybody can see inside. And so that made a lot of sense to me. Why did they pick us? Well, I'll tell you why they told us. They picked us because they looked at us as the thought leaders. They looked at us as the leaders in this space. They said, you guys are the best. And if you know anything about Active and you go look at how they acquire companies, if they can't go out and make it number one, then it's sort of like the big dog, right? He's going to stay on the porch. He can't be the big dog. He's going to stay on the porch. So if they can't do it right, they're not going to play at all. And so that's why they came after us. So one of the things that really struck me about this is they said, we don't want to affect your culture in a negative way. Everybody asked, well, wait a second, are they a Christian company? And frankly, there are no such thing as Christian companies. We're not going to see Coca-Cola in heaven. Not because they're not a Christian company. We're not going to see Lifeway in heaven. We're going to see people in heaven. Right? Companies do not have a soul. People and their behavior and their beliefs is what makes us Christians, right? So, no, they're not as openly Christian as we are. But you'd be surprised at how many people have come up to me or send me an email going, hey, I'm great. I think it's great. I'm really proud of Active, because they're active employees, long-time active employees, because we see the benefits that you guys provide to churches. Some of these people actually go to churches that use Fellowship One. And I go, wow, that's great. And we've actually been embraced by the staff and the management team, and they say, we want you to be authentically passionate about your space. We love it. Matter of fact, we're authentically passionate about everything we do. So the guys who are in endurance, guess what? They're runners. They're triathletes. The people who are in hunting and fishing, they're hunters. The camping people are outdoor people. They want every unit within their portfolio to be authentically passionate about their space. So as you're going to see Dynamic Church 11 the integration of the companies going? Frankly, it's going really well. I'm surprised. There have been a couple technical glitches. You might have an email that you sent to me bounced, but we've got that fixed. We've got some voicemail problems in support as we moved over to new phone systems. So there have been some technical glitches, but the integration is going really well. I think from a cultural standpoint, fit very well. And so I don't see any cultural problems at all. So, but yeah. So, one of the things that I mentioned earlier was they want to help churches and communities and build the communities through the church. It's sort of funny. Last week I was in Nashville, and doing my quarterly review with JP and the Lifeway people about how the digital church initiative is going. And I ran into Ed Setzer, and we spent some time, and we were talking about the transformational church and what he thinks and what he and Tom Rainer, Dr. Rainer, have written about. And I started reading it, and I go, wow, what in the world is God's timing when it's perfect? In this book, they talk about how the church needs to get out into the community if they're going to reach the young people and actually engage in the community. And I go, wow, that ties so well into what ACT is trying to do through Fellowship Technologies. And so I'd encourage you to read this book. Matter of fact, Ed Setzer planted a church, and he uses Fellowship One, so he's a good customer of ours. So as you start thinking about the power of the internet and what it can do and what we're going to try to do through Fellowship One, I think you'll see some next steps. Now, to introduce you to a little bit of how Active sees the world, because that's the world I sort of live in right now, they have this active life cycle. And they call it marketing up at the top. I'm going to call it outreach so everybody knows what I'm talking about. Marketing and outreach is the same thing, right? Everybody agree? Anybody disagree? So they have outreach, they have manage, also manage the church, and grow disciples. Now, in grow, they have, well, let's grow runners, or let's grow triathletes, or let's grow companies, if it's the events group. Let's grow the experience of people so that they can be active. Because if people are happy and they're growing, what are they going to do? They're going to help you market, right? That's what Twitter's all about. It's not about how well Curtis Simmons can actually send a message out there. It's how well you guys can tweet about how well we're doing. Because we're no longer in control of our marketing. You guys are, right? Same token. In a community or in a sport, who's really in control of what the good races are or what the good leagues are? It's the people out there. It's really changing. So I really like this, and let's talk about how that relates. I've broken this down into some goals. So the number one goal of the active integration that we're working on is to build a better CHMS, or church management system, by using some common components that Active uses across all of their applications. Well, what are some of those? Internet gateway payment systems. These guys are expert on that. They run a lot more processes, they process a lot more payments through their gateway than we would even dream of, right? So if it comes to payment processing, boom, there's something we can leverage. Email services. Email services are so complex, believe it or not, it's not as simple as you see it as I type out an email, right? It's so complex, Active went out and bought a company called Pearson so that they could be the experts in it. We were having, about a year ago, a little problem with Yahoo. The Pearson guys told us exactly what to do. We were talking to Active, and we said, well, we're having this Yahoo problem. Let's not talk about the acquisition. Let's talk about this Yahoo problem. Well, they actually introduced us to Pearson through a conference call and said, hey, we'll help you with that. Data reporting services, social media, all these are things that you see in some other Active network products. So why not build one or a common set of services and have all of us use it? Do you see the economic advantage of that as well as the quality advantage of that? I think it's pretty amazing. I think you will too over time. we're using Active, is there any synergies between the two? And I said, hey, we just announced it. So churches do run. So I've seen in the Southeast, some churches, especially through the Bible Belt, have recreation centers or health clubs. So what we can do over time is give you a better, complete, broader product if you need it. Now, what I'm not saying is this is going to be one integrated product. Definitely not in the short term. In the short term, it'll be one vendor, one relationship, somebody who can get to know what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish, and apply the right resources. Over the long run, what's it going to be? I don't know. Who's going to drive that really, though? You guys will, on what you tell us you need, right? Because that's the business we're in, helping you. So in the long term, the integration will be based upon what the market needs. Those are all exciting to me. So I think manage the church, which is where we've always played. I did hear a vibrate earlier, so is that my phone? Manage the church, which is what we've always done. We've improved. We're going to improve that part of the equation. Next goal, though. Help churches fulfill their mission of growing disciples. We've always talked about how the DVD is going away, how we were working with Lifeway, and we want to work with others about how we can push through the groups module some kind of content, digital content. How are churches going to push that digital content through if the DVD goes away? How many people don't believe the DVD is going away? Anybody don't believe it's going away? I haven't bought a DVD in forever. That's why we're giving away an Apple TV instead of a DVD, right? So how are we going to distribute content? Well, that ability to distribute content through groups will help you grow disciples. Now, one of the things that we're watching very carefully that I'm looking at how it's playing out are these spiritual growth tools. I think there's a lot of excitement there. I don't know that the market's ready for it yet. I don't know that the people who have the time will spend the time in order to walk through those programs, but I believe the time is coming from when that'll just be a part of our daily Christian life. I think it has to get mobile. But with Active Network being our parent, we can do that more readily because of the resources we'll have. I also believe that one of the things that we want to work on is internet campus in a box. I believe that every church of any size in the future will have an internet campus. So that if me in my busy life cannot attend corporate worship, but I want to see the video, I can see it through a mobile device. Now what's really cool about that, going back to manage the church, is how about if I mark attendance off because I'm muted? And can manage and understand and measure engagement, congregational engagement. That's another thing I'm learning when I'm talking to the events people, and they talk about customer engagement. And I'm starting to learn, how can we apply that to churches? How can we start measuring congregational engagement? Because that, in a way, is how successful the church is being. So if we go back to, we can help you grow disciples. Now that's going to take a lot of money, a lot of development, but over time, because we have to do that with runners, we have to do that with other people in different spaces, I think there's a lot of synergy there. We're also going to continue to enhance the programs that we have out there to work with plant churches and plant church organizations. We've already we've been working with the Association of Related Churches now for a while. We've recently signed a deal. You're going to see a press release on the Church Multiplication Network. We're going to continue to work with those church plants and get them started on the right road. So look for the announcement with Church Multiplication Network. We're also trying to work with a couple others. So if you know of some people that are planting churches that want to get them started on the right path of process-driven church, we'd be happy to talk to them. We're also going to continue to develop the F1 ecosystem, I call it, of partners across the API. We're going to improve the entire ecosystem because again, one of the things that I'm real big at, because I ran the partner organizations at I2 Technologies for a while, I'm real big on partnering. We can't do it all. You've seen this chart before, an API around the entire application. We're still committed to that. We've just, matter of fact, we've recently released Giving, which has been the most complete API to date. And so you can do a lot of things with the Giving API, and we'll continue to flesh that out. But we've also just recently, I think like last week, released Realms for groups and events, right? And some of you guys are probably thinking, well, I'll never use the API because, well, I'm not a programmer. If you log on to the portal, you use the API every day because we use it to do our development. So we know it's a sound API. We'll continue to do that. If you're using Giving Kiosk from Secure Give or Giving Kiosk, they use our API in order to post the contributions. If you are a church and you don't have programmers, though, we're getting ready to announce, trying to get the press release through our PR department at Active, so not everything is perfect in an integration. But we're going to announce a relationship with Upper Room Technologies. They do a lot of custom development for churches. They're out of San Antonio. Andy Ivankovich and I have been friends for a couple of years. They used to have or still have a groups module, but they've decided to move a lot more into custom development. We're going to move that relationship forward, certify them on using our API so that you have a place to go to get custom development done with a third party, somebody who knows our API. Because frankly, there are some churches out there we worked with that have tried to work with the API, and they've used what I'll say are inexperienced programmers, and it doesn't work. Not because the API doesn't work. We come in, spend a day, and make it work for them, but it's because the level of sophistication of some of the programming talent out there is not where it needs to be, so we wanted to give you an avenue for that. So we will continue to build out the API. We're committed to that strategy. Now here's where it gets really interesting to me. One of our goals is to utilize Active's network effect to help grow churches. Is anybody open for helping for growing your church? Right? Now this has never been done. To have, we'll call it a secular company helping build faith organizations. Right? But if you know anything about Active, they've got this public portal called active.com. Now right now, active.com focuses a lot on the endurance space. But we are moving it so that it's going to focus on outdoor, communities, faith, so that that will be a place that people can go to say, hey, what's going on in my community? What can I do with my kids this weekend? So if a church has an outreach event, not everything, but hey, I've got this outreach event, and I want to flip this switch and post it out on active.com so that people are looking for those kind of activities, actually see your activity, and so we can help you market your activity to bring in others. Isn't that a cool idea? That really excites me. There's a lot of risk there. I'm not saying, hey, it's a slam dunk easy thing to do. But as this started to occur to me, as I'm starting to integrate myself into the Active organization, I actually went into a meeting that the president and CEO of Active were in. I said, guys, I believe in 5 years, the Fellowship Technologies acquisition will look ingenious because of this one thing, to help you grow and bring in people. Because I don't know if you guys read Unchristianed or not. How many people have read the book Unchristianed? You need to read it. The public doesn't have a real good view of us all the time. Why do they not have a real good view of us all the time? Because of the sound bites they get from various inputs, TV, whatever. However, people get to know the church and they go, wow, that's not what I heard. So if we can attract people and they get to know you, then it's sort of up to God doing his work, right? And you guys doing your work. That's really exciting. So that's that outreach component. They're also opening my eyes to some other things that maybe the church is not so good at. One of the things Active is really known for is media and marketing. And some of the things I'm learning with them can be applied to the church. If you have a vacation Bible school and you run through your Fellowship One database and you go, well, we've got about 200 kids we want to come to VBS. These 80, they're shoe-ins because they've always come. How are you going to fill that other 120? What if you go look at your database and say, well, who's never come to our vacation Bible school, and go market to them differently than you market to the people who come all the time? Isn't that interesting thinking? To motivate people to get them to change their behavior? Goes back to transformational. That's our job. We're transforming souls, lives, churches, communities. So I'm really excited about some of the things I'm learning with Active that can be applied to the church. So the end goal, bring this all together, help you take a more active role in your communities. Now that's the physical community, that's the space we live in, but because we're a technology company, to help you live in the virtual world better. So the end goal is to bring that together as well. So we've just added, we talked about this, I think Rick Warren came up with it originally about some C's, and we had core, committed, congregation, community are the personas that we think about and look to as Scott designs and the application with the boys in development. We've added the fifth C called the cloud. So being technologists, there are things that we get to know about sooner than probably the average church. And so we're going to start applying that more and more to Fellowship One and to the product so that you guys can leverage it right out of the box. So in summary, I'm not going to read the slide, but this is what I told you. So, we're going to leverage common services. We're going to build some products and connect them. We've already had several sales calls with churches interested in other Active products. So we'll start bringing that together and serving the faith market across all the Active products. We're going to help you develop mature Christians through some spiritual growth tools and leveraging the current tools that are out there, but also watching this area very closely to figure out how's this going to work, especially I think in a mobile world. And to give you some visibility so that you can grow and really utilize Active.com to reach out to others. So, our mission hasn't changed. We still want to change the world by changing the church world. You start out by changing individuals. John 10:10, I came that you might have life and have it to the full. Maybe insert, have it to the active, to get active. But by transforming and impacting people, we can truly transform churches. We can truly then affect the communities. And then we can improve the world. A lot of our competitors, none of you out there I know, will say, hey, they needed to sell. Well, we didn't need to sell at all. We prayed about this a lot. There is no way that that was the case. We have been in the Inc. 5000 the last 2 years. I think this year we'll actually be in it again as a standalone because it's off last year's numbers. I was a finalist for one of the regional Ernst & Young entrepreneurs that Ernst & Young puts on, the Entrepreneur of the Year. You don't do that being an unsuccessful company. You don't get these awards. We did not need to sell. And some people are going to say we sold out. And that's not the case either. We prayed about this over and over and over. It was very diligent in how we approached this. So we just think this is the best way to fulfill the vision so that you guys can finally have the tools that you need. There is a joke around Fellowship Technologies, when we screw up and we don't provide what we think we should provide to you, that we believe we're the tallest midget. Tallest small person, I'm sorry. But we don't want to be that anymore. We don't want to be just the best of the worst. We want to provide world-class solutions to the church so that you guys can fulfill your mission. Is it a bold step? It is absolutely a bold step. Can we pull it off? I didn't know if we could pull off what we pulled off in the last 7 years. Has anybody ever done it? Has anybody ever tried? Right? You can't do something if you never try. So we want to do this so that you're free to focus on your ministry, not technology. So that you're free to focus on discipleship, not technology. So that you're free to focus on your people, not technology. Right? That's always what we've been about. I wanted to share with you this. I still have to read it, but this is my daily prayer. And so I'm going to have to put my glasses on. But this is my daily prayer, and I wanted to share it with you. I have it on my wall in my office. I have it on my iPad. I have it on my phone. I actually got this from the song Hosanna. We were singing at church, and I thought, man, I need to pray that every day. It's not Jabez's prayer, but it's Jeff's prayer, I guess. Heal my heart and make it clean. Open my eyes to the things unseen. Show me how to love like you have loved me. Break my heart for what breaks yours. Everything I am for your kingdom's cause as I walk from earth to eternity. That's very special to me. And I wanted to share it with you, and I also want to send us out with a blessing. So, Father God, please use this time to show us how to take your church, your bride, to that next level. Please help us to change inside in our thinking, in our motivations, in our work, so that we can help change others and thus change the outside world. Empower us to take this change through our churches, to our communities, out to all the countryside. Help us understand the things we are about to learn so that we may enrich our ministries and show us your ways to serve and lead using knowledge and learnings that we are about to experience. As Psalms 90 says, may your favor rest on us, establish the work of our hands. Yes, establish the work of our hands. Please honor this blessing as we honor you. May we bless you as you bless us. Amen. Enjoy the conference. Thank you for attending.